So I took a walk down to my local EB Games and they were just popping with new stuff that I could review on my channel, but this was the one piece I simply had to take home. Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher's Wild Hunt from McFarlane Toys. The box art for this is exactly what you would expect from McFarlane Toys. Big, boxy, windowy, logo-y. It looks exactly like everything you would expect from Todd's company. The back has an image of the figure right here in a posy pose. More stuff, more logos, more textures. Let's get him out because we're not really here to look at the box, are we? No. As I'm taking him out of the box here, look at this interesting design feature here. It looks like wallpaper or something. Very classic, very Witcher. I'm gonna get this out, I'm gonna get the figure out, and then we'll look at it all together. And here we have Geralt of Rivia, who comes with steel sword, silver sword, and head on a rope, as well as this here figure stand. To begin with, fantastic looking figure. Absolutely, McFarlane Toys has outdone themselves with this sculpt. And not just the sculpt, but also the paint job. This looks top notch. I think that McFarlane Toys, as far as overall visual quality of collector grade, but not super expensively priced action figures goes, I think that McFarlane is king. I don't think that anybody else does it any better than old Toddy boy. I mean, look at that. The chainmail and the leather look like chainmail and leather. The stitching is convincing. All the fine details, the textures, the fabrics, the wrinkles. This looks perfect. I can't think of anyone making a 7-inch scale Geralt of Rivia figure in this particular outfit and having it look better than this. Look at that face sculpt. That's perfect. That looks exactly like the source material from the game from CD Projekt Red. And you've got toning of the skin here, the scars, the eyes are painted to perfection, the texture of the facial hair and the hair on top of his head. It just looks perfect. I'm really impressed. This is one of those times when I'm going to come away from an action figure review more impressed than I thought I was going to be. And I was expecting to be impressed. Look at his leather boots. They look fantastic. They actually look like he's been stomping around out in the wilderness on the hunt. You got the leather, I don't want to say knee pads because I don't think that these are knee pads. I think this is more just an extension of some kind of leg wear that he's wearing. And then look at his trousers. Those trousers look absolutely fantastic with all that texturing. Now, before we go any further, I do want to mention that a lot of the parts that could have been potentially made out of a harder rubber or plastic are soft rubber. This is a soft rubber, which is good. It means it's not going to be in the way during the articulation. The same thing with the arm pads here, the arm mail. Again, not going to get in the way of the articulation. The torso is a softer rubber. Yeah, it's probably going to get in the way of the articulation just because having that rubber sleeve over top of the articulation always gets in the way to some point. I will say, though, having this hook as a soft rubber really is kind of a bad idea. Because when you take this face here, this werewolf head, oh my goodness, which is so fantastically sculpted. Wow. Oh, there's his neck and his breathing pipe. Yep. That's why this box says, not a toy. Dare I say, you probably could not get away with giving this to a kid. Mainly because of that, but also just because the whole thing. It's a severed head. But where I'm going with this is the idea that because this hook is so wibbly, you won't ever be able to really hang anything off of it. Now I know that technically it's not supposed to be hanging down like that, and really the rope is there so that he could hold on to his prize with his hand. But how cool would it have been to have a little extra hole right here, and this possibly be some kind of accessory that fits into his belt, and then you could just hang the head right there on his hook. Honestly though, I know that he's really just supposed to be holding on to it like this, so it's not really a complaint, it's just a little nitpick, something that I probably would have done a little bit differently if I could have. When we come to the ball joints, I feel like the ones on his ankles, they're kind of ugly, they stick out a little bit, but I don't know, I think that's forgivable. Same thing with the wrists. They're bigger, they're bulkier, you can definitely notice them, but at least they're the same size as his wrist and his gloves, so I feel like they work together a little bit more seamlessly in comparison to some of McFarlane's other ugly wristed ball-jointed figures. And finally, we're going to look at their swords. First, the steel sword. This looks pretty good. You know what? I feel like this could have been a little bit better had it have been painted a nice shiny silver color. At least something more like the back of the box art, but it's designed well and it looks really good. And then he has his silver sword for killing monsters. And this one is equally as cool. I think I liked the design of the first game's swords a little bit better. I don't think they looked quite like this. I think they looked a little bit different. This pommel doesn't make any sense. That's not McFarlane's problem. That's actually, that's a design problem. You'd never want to use this pommel for anything. However, it is still a very cool accessory. Looks battle-worn, looks dinged. So both of these look very cool, and they both fit perfectly into his scabbard. I think that the silver sword goes here, and then the steel sword goes in this scabbard. I think that's where they go. And so yeah, visually, I think that this is a fantastic Toddly offering, and I'm really, really glad that he decided to make a Geralt of Rivia Witcher figure, because at this point, I feel like a lot of us fans were just waiting for someone to pick up the torch and make one. So, I guess, on a personal note, thanks Todd for making this figure. I really appreciate it. Now, if you're wondering exactly what the size of this guy is, we had the McFarlane Toys One Punch Man Saitama figure, and then also the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat Spawn figure. We know that Spawn's a beefy figure, so that should start to give you an idea of what this guy's size is. And how about a NECA Phantom and a Marvel Legends Ninja from, you see the hand? I can't remember. I just bought him because it looks cool. Seriously, I've got two Build-A-Figure legs to Stiltman that I'll never use for anything. And then why don't we stick him in between two Superman figures? On the left we have Henry Cavill from DC Collectibles, and on the right we have the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superman. And then finally, because they're both swordly characters just like The Witcher, I brought in He-Man and Lion-O, both from Mattel. So that's the scale you're looking at with this guy. I'm not really sure who you would pose him with. I should have picked up the villain to have on the shelf with him. Maybe I'll go back and get him too. Now, just before I end the video, let's do the articulation segment just so that we can see together, because even I don't know how articulated this figure is. So he's got the rounded hinge in the armpit there, and that's actually pretty good. Like I said, these pauldrons are made out of rubber, so they go right out of the way. You've got a butterfly in the armpit here. The tunic kind of covers it up so it doesn't look ugly. You got a bicep swivel. How good are those double oh, well, those are better than I expected. I like those a lot, actually. Does he have any... No top of the glove articulation, but he does have a ball joint here. I'm not even going to ball. You can see what it can do. It's a rounded ball joint. It's going to do what they do. Inside of the torso, oh, what does Geralt have? Oh, well, that's surprising. That's quite surprising, actually. I thought that it'd be a little bit more obstructive. Getting him into a pose with this tunic might be a little bit challenging and look a little bit, ugh. Well, that's just off-putting. But at least the articulation points are there. They have been thought of. And of course, the waist is going to go around 360. The groin. Oh, whoa! This is the first time I've ever seen this. You got the little bumpy little ratchets right here on both sides. I've never seen that. Oh, wait. Yes, I have. No, I'm thinking of a different toy company. No, that's right. Never mind. It's NECA. NECA has the ratchets on one side and then not on the other. That's weird. But anyway, yeah, he's got that McFarlane Toys signature groin that does what we know it's going to do. It's that hinge, and it's got not a lot as far as roundy round like that. And I think that's definitely a complaint that a lot of fans of McFarlane Toys have, is they wish that the legs were more articulated in that area. He's got double jointed knees. Let's crunch him up. Let's push him all the way. See what they are capable of. Yeah, that's good. Those are big and bulky. They don't look too ugly, but they're certainly very usable. And then we know exactly what the ankles are going to do. They're big, rounded, pivoty ankles, and he's got toes that do what toe articulation does. Looks like he stubbed both of his toes real hard. Poof. Ow, 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 ow. And then finally the head is going to be on a ball joint. We know that's the standard. However, you're not going to get a whole big range of motion from Geralt here. It's going to bibble and bobble around, but I do want to tell you that the hair is going to get in the way, so looking up is not an option. Heaven forbid he needs to look up and watch out for a flock of seagulls. But, you know, I can't really dock that many marks for it, because for me personally, I'm not going to pose him that crazy. I know that some of you will, but I just can't see that being something that a lot of people would freak out about. If he was a flight figure, then yeah, you'd kind of want that head to be a lot more posable. You would definitely want some kind of motion to look up, and even that's probably not enough. For a flight figure, that's usually what you're looking for. But this isn't about Superman, is it? I mean, as much as I'd like it to be. I mean, I wish that everything could be about Superman. This is about Geralt of Rivia. And so what do I think about Geralt of Rivia? Well, if I'm being completely thorough and honest, I will say that this is one of those times when I review a figure where I honestly, personally don't have very many complaints. Of course, there are things that could have been done better with this figure, but to suit my purposes, this figure, it definitely meets all the benchmarks. It's highly articulated. It looks just amazing. The quality of the sculpting detail and the paint apps on this figure really are well done. Someone is paying attention in the QC department with this guy. That disembodied werewolf head that he comes with, it's really cool looking. I don't usually pose my figures with their accessories like this. I usually just put them back in the box, but I'll definitely be keeping this disembodied head right with Geralt. All around, I would give this figure a solid 10 out of 10. I can't think of anything personally that I would dock marks for. So yeah, well done, Todd. Fantastic figure. Anyway, that's all I've got time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody who decided to watch this video. It means a lot to me because I'm trying to build this channel up. And I will see you next time with the next video. Toodaloo!